We're at episode 6. Just kind of quick grab a saddle here, slap it on this thing. He's getting pretty broke now, you know. Today we're gonna get outside, so I really just ran and grabbed him out of the field. You brush him off a little bit, clean him up. We're gonna throw a saddle on him, and we're gonna get outside, because in the last exercise we worked a lot on balance and cadence. And then the next thing that really, if you have the opportunity to do it, the best thing to do is to get outside and start working on straight lines. You know, if I start loping him straight in here, you just run out of space so easily, and it doesn't give you a lot of time to work on things and help him find his balance. It also doesn't give him a lot of opportunity to just kind of open up and be himself. So I honestly am going to saddle him in here, and I'm going to jump on him, and we're going to ride him out to the field, and we're just going to go jog him out, steer him around a little bit, and then we'll get back to loping. But we're going to just lope around the field, you know, just kind of let him be a horse and let him find his own rhythm and get loose. I think you know, it's a lot over the years. I've worked a lot in the field on lead changes, things like that are much easier to do when you're outside in that big space. And so this is the beginning of just as soon as you can get a horse. You know, I believe in arena work. I'm sure not the kind of guy that's going to go after 3 rides and ride him in the field and see if something goes wrong. I mean, you know, there are people that have that style, and all the more power to them. But my personal opinion, my personal feeling is I like to have some buttons on a horse before I go drive it in the field. You know, it's to me, it's important to be able to handle that horse and do things with him before I open up his world too much. Now, there's 100 different opinions on that, and I'm not against doing it the other way. I just find for me it works a lot better to have a handle on him, to have that arena work. I know that he can stop, I know he can turn, I know he can pay attention to me, and so then, you know, if we run into things in the field that he's not prepared for, at least I've got some groundwork and some riding work under his belt that I know I can revert to, even if I'm out in a big field. And I'm not going to have that colt kind of run off on me or get away from me or get scared in a way that's going to, you know, make me have to make things up as I go. So whoa has to make sense. You got to be able to steer him left and right, go fast, go slow. And then I like to get him outside as soon as possible and go cruise in the field. And thankfully here we have the opportunity to just go right out the door and lope out on the field. You know, it's I've always been fortunate that way, that, you know, my last facility was the same thing. I really had a lot of space to go ride out in the field, and I think it's really important. So I'm just going to grab his Boselle, and you can see at this point I'm trying to get away from lunging and all that stuff. He's actually a little warm, because just before I went out to get him, they were doing laps in the field and rip roaring around and having a good old time. And so actually I haven't lunged him, I haven't warmed him up, but I did 10 minutes after his little running around in the field there, I did go out to get him to shoot this video, and as you can see, he's a little warm already. So, you know, but the truth is I'm trying to get away at this point from lunging. I don't want to lunge them every day. I have some slow, you know, kind of thick ones that do better if they can lunge a little bit, or, you know, warm up that way. But those kind, I'm actually quicker to put them on the hot walker and let them just walk up and do something else when they're, you know, when they're getting warmed up, so I don't have to spend the time out there lunging them too much. I like them just be able to have their own mental space as much as possible. So this colt's getting pretty solid. If I get on him and I have issues with him now without lunging, I'm just going to do circles and ride him a little bit and mess around with him until he wants to pay better attention. So we're back out here. You know, like I said, inside, I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of steering on a colt before I take them outside and gallop them in the field. So to start off, I'm just going to bump on him a little bit, steer him around, you know, just make him work. He's got some jump to him. You know, you can see I can do the same thing out here. and he reacts the same, you know, just kind of ride around, get him loosened up, get him paying attention. You know, I should be able to drive him everywhere. And even though he's out here in the field and fresh, he should still pay attention and want to be a good horse. So I'm just gonna jog him around till he wants to stay between the reins. You know, if he gets to moving a little bit too much, I'm gonna steer on him, bump on him, steer on him, bump on him. And so I do go really steady. That's a question I had the other day. I do go really steady with my hands, the direction I want to go. But then what I failed to tell you about is that my legs kind of go the same direction. So if I take both hands to the right, I kind of take both feet to the right as well. You know, I'm not putting my spur on him. At this point, I'm not using a lot of leg, but you can see I'll sit on the outside seat bone and I'll take off that inside leg, and I try to make space for his body. You see? I try to make space for his body to go into with my feet, the same as with my hands. So if my hands go to the left, my feet go to the left too, and try to keep him cruising on a good rhythm. Now, he's starting to loosen up a little bit. I turn him out, let him cruise. I just think this is the best thing that you can do for a colt, is get them out there and let them find it. You know, he almost wants to lope on his own. You know, you just kind of let him figure it out and then steer him. And let him just kind of figure that out. See, he's on the left lead, so he wants to lean a little left, and I don't mind as long as he kind of runs reasonably straight. Break him down, work on that transition, let him come back to that trot, steer him. Kind of let him pick whatever lead. Steer him a little bit. Break down again. Ask him again. So at this point, I just need him to pay attention to me. You know, this is his field. This is actually his field he lives in. So, you know, I'm kind of out here. He's out here all day. You can see those mares, the mother 2-year-olds in the background there. There we go. You know, they're kind of over here wondering what I'm running for. And it's good for them to see a little commotion, and it's good for him to be a 2-year-old and be able to come out here and pay attention and not try to run off on me. Or you see, you can just get him a little broke where you can go lope him in the field, and he should go about the same in the field as he does in the barn, you know. So we'll go lope around these babies and see what they do over here. They might come over and hang out with me. See, as long as he can pay attention to me, keep his ears locked back, you see him start to lean in there, get kind of relaxed. You know, and so this is one of those things, just allows a horse to really get moving nice. I'll chuck him out there and let him just go on his own rhythm, you know, and I can't do this inside. See, I can start to steer him around a little bit, even on that counter, just kind of pull him to the outside and then pull him to the inside. And you can see how good his ability to cruise. You know, if you can just sit back and let him cruise in the field. I don't really have a lot of constraints anymore. You know, just let him line out. So, you know, it's not rocket science, but I have the same patterns in my head. I move my feet the same, I move my hands the same, and then I just lay him out there let him find his own rhythm. I work on lead changes out here in the field a lot. You know, you just get them loping straight out in the field. Easy. See, and he pays attention to me just as good out here as he does inside, I think, you know, and you let them kind of loosen up and lope fresh out straight like that. I think it's really important, and it's really a big deal. So, you know, maybe this one's a little shorter. You know, it's really simple, but that's really where I'm at with this colt now, is to help him find his low. I'm just out here cruising, and he should be able to pay mentally just as good attention out here as he does inside. The cues should be the same. The way that I ask him is the same. His attention on me should be the same. No matter if those mares are loose in the field here or not, you know, he should be able to listen to me. And I think that's more about getting him broke. You know, my buddy Hubert and I were talking earlier today, you know, yesterday, I don't remember, about how important it is to get these 2-year-olds body broke, because they're so physically talented anymore now. We've bred them to be so good that really you start doing too many maneuvers this time of year, and you start working on them and doing stuff, and by the time you got to show them as a 3-year-old next year, they're kind of burned out and done, you know. And you really run that risk on horses that are so naturally willing and talented. And I mean, this colt's like, he's as good as they get. So it's really about getting them broke, making sure they're mentally and physically broke, making sure you can put their body parts wherever, making sure they know where to put their feet. And that becomes a bigger thing for me, you know, as I get a little better understanding of this 2-year-old thing. Every year that I start 2-year-olds, I change a few things, try to make it just marginally better, you know, and that's kind of my push all the time. So I appreciate you guys for being along. It's beautiful weather out here. There's nothing better than riding out here in the field, messing around. I love this horse, you know. So it's just one of those things that's really good to do. Get them out, go lope them on the dike, go lope them down the ditch, down the field. Find a space where you can line them out like that and let them be horses. I think it's really important. So like, subscribe, keep it coming. I've loved doing this series. I've loved Tyne. He's been really good. You guys let me know if you want something different or what your want me to work on, and we'll keep it coming for you. Thanks guys, and have fun.